There's a quiet moment that happens in a woman's mind, and most men never even realize it. It happens in the first few seconds of seeing you, not when you speak, not when you tell her about your career, not when you mention your past. It happens before all of that. And if you are over 50, that moment carries even more weight than you think. Because at this stage of life, attraction is no longer about surface charm, it's about signals, subtle, psychological signals that communicate strength, stability, vitality, or the lack of it. Today, I want to gently reveal 5 body cues women instinctively notice in men over 50, and what those cues silently communicate about you. If you value honest conversations about female psychology and masculine growth, take a moment to like and subscribe, not for algorithms, but because these conversations matter. And I'll share something near the end that most men only understand far too late. Let's begin. The first thing women notice is your posture, not your height, not your weight, your posture. When a man walks into a room with his shoulders slightly rounded forward, chin tucked down, movements hesitant, it sends a message of withdrawal, of fatigue, of someone who has been carrying life heavily. But when a man over 50 stands upright, not rigid, not forced, just naturally aligned, something shifts. An upright posture signals vitality. It signals presence. It communicates that you are still engaged with life. Women at this stage are not looking for perfection. They are looking for emotional steadiness. And posture reflects inner structure. A straight spine and relaxed shoulders tell her, I am comfortable in my skin. I have lived. I have endured. And I am still standing. That is deeply attractive. It is not about impressing anyone. It is about the subtle confidence that comes from accepting your age instead of apologizing for it. Many men over 50 unconsciously shrink themselves. They walk as if they are trying not to take up space, as if their prime has passed. But here's the truth. Most men were never taught. Aging does not reduce your presence. Insecurity does. When you hold yourself well, you signal self-respect. And self-respect is magnetic. Women don't consciously analyze your spine alignment, but their nervous system reads it instantly. And in long-term attraction, the nervous system decides more than logic ever will. So before you focus on clothes, hair, or anything external, begin with how you carry yourself, because the body reveals what the mouth never says, and posture is the first silent introduction you give the world. The second thing women instantly notice in men over 50 is your hands. Yes, your hands. Not in a superficial way, not in a judgmental way, but in a deeply psychological way. Hands tell a story. They reveal how you've lived, how you handle things, how you express yourself without speaking. When you gesture calmly while talking, when your movements are measured instead of frantic, when your handshake is steady but not overpowering, it signals emotional regulation. And emotional regulation is incredibly attractive at this stage of life. Women over 35, 40, 50, they are no longer drawn to chaos disguised as passion. They are drawn to steadiness, safety, grounded energy. Your hands reveal that. Rushed, jittery movements can suggest anxiety. Tightly clenched fists can suggest suppressed tension. Constant fidgeting can communicate insecurity. But relaxed, purposeful movement communicates something very different. I am comfortable. I am present. I am not trying to prove myself. And there's something else women notice about your hands: care. Well-maintained hands don't mean soft or manicured in a flashy way. It simply means clean, intentional, and self-aware. When a man over 50 takes care of the small details, trimmed nails, clean skin, subtle grooming, it signals that he hasn't checked out of life. He still values himself. And that matters more than you think. Because at this stage, women are evaluating lifestyle alignment. They're unconsciously asking, does this man care about his health? Does he respect himself? Does he pay attention to the details? Your hands answer those questions long before you do. There is also something symbolic about hands. They represent what you build, what you protect, what you hold. Strong, steady hands, not necessarily muscular but grounded, communicate capability. And capability is attractive at any age. But here is where it becomes even deeper. When you speak to a woman and your gestures are calm, your movements deliberate, you're sending a powerful signal of emotional containment. It tells her you are not reactive, you are responsive. There's a big difference. Reactive men feel unpredictable, responsive men feel safe. And for many women, especially those who have already lived through enough emotional turbulence, safety is one of the most powerful forms of attraction. You don't need to exaggerate your movements. You don't need dramatic gestures. In fact, subtlety carries more power. Slower movements, measured gestures, intentional contact. It reflects maturity. And maturity, when embodied rather than announced, is incredibly compelling. Most men think attraction is about grand traits, but often it's about microsignals. The way you rest your hands on the table, the way you hold eye contact while speaking, the way you place your hand gently on someone's shoulder without urgency. These are things women feel. Not analyze, feel. And feeling is what builds connection. Attraction over 50 is less about intensity and more about resonance. And your hands, steady, intentional, grounded, silently communicate the kind of man you are now, not the man you were at 25, the man you've become. And that distinction changes everything. The third thing women notice instantly in men over 50 is your eyes. Your eyes are not just windows to your soul, they are signposts of experience, resilience, and emotional depth. Women notice how your eyes move, how they focus, and the energy they carry. It's subconscious. It happens before words, before your tone, before your gestures. When a man over 50 looks at her with calm confidence, steady and present, it signals something powerful: awareness, presence, engagement. A woman can feel when your eyes aren't wandering, when they aren't restless or anxious. That stillness communicates that you are emotionally available, grounded, and capable of holding space, a quality far more compelling than any physical trait. But there's more. It's not just about direct gaze, it's the subtle things, the brief glance that lingers just enough, the warmth that softens intensity, the lack of neediness behind the look. Eyes reveal self-possession. They tell her, without words, I know who I am. I am not seeking validation from you, but I am present for you. Women notice micro expressions too. Tiny shifts in your brow, a fleeting smile at the right moment, the way your eyes soften when you listen. These signals communicate empathy, understanding, and emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is magnetic because it shows you've experienced life, successes, losses, joys, heartbreaks, and emerged capable of connection rather than reaction. There's also honesty in your eyes. Over time, many men develop habitual expressions, some protective, some defensive. Women can sense dissonance between what a man says and what his eyes reveal. Inconsistency erodes attraction. But when your eyes align with your words, even subtle phrases are elevated. Your integrity shines. And integrity, especially in a man over 50, is profoundly attractive. And consider this: women over 50 are often drawn to depth, not drama. A gaze that is too intense or calculating triggers caution, but a gaze that is patient, calm, and warm invites trust. Trust is the foundation of attraction at this age. Without it, nothing else matters. Even more than that, eyes convey vitality. There's a difference between a man who looks tired or distracted and one whose eyes carry quiet energy. Vitality isn't about youth, it's about engagement with life. Curiosity, awareness, humor, and resilience. Women can sense that vitality immediately, even before conversation begins. So if you want to communicate strength, presence, and reliability without saying a single word, start with your eyes. Let them reflect calm confidence. Let them mirror emotional stability. Let them carry warmth and understanding. Because in a world where many men over 50 unconsciously withdraw, your eyes can do the work your posture, your hands, or even your words cannot. They can silently convey who you are at your core, a man experienced, grounded, and fully alive. And when a woman sees that, she feels it, not intellectually, but deeply. And that feeling is the spark that precedes attraction. The fourth thing women notice instantly in men over 50 is your voice. Not the words you speak, but the tone, the rhythm, and the way it resonates. Women are wired to detect subtle vocal cues. They notice calmness versus tension, steadiness versus nervousness, warmth versus detachment. And over 50, your voice carries a story that can either draw her in or push her away, long before she even realizes it. A man who speaks with measured pace, clarity, and quiet confidence communicates control and composure. It tells her, I am present, I am steady, I am a man who can navigate life without losing myself to chaos. Conversely, a voice that rushes, cracks under pressure, or carries too much self conscious energy signals uncertainty. Even if your words seem impressive, the subconscious mind picks up on that first. Women are especially attuned to vocal warmth. It's not about softness or sweetness in a stereotypical sense, it's about resonance, a voice that carries empathy, attention, and emotional accessibility. When a man over 50 speaks with calm warmth, it signals experience without arrogance, strength without force, and security without dominance. That combination is incredibly magnetic. And there's a subtle layer many men overlook: your pauses. Silence in conversation can feel uncomfortable to some, but when used well, it conveys thoughtfulness and self assurance. Women notice when you listen before responding, when you don't feel the need to fill every space with words. That restraint communicates maturity. It tells her you are deliberate, reflective, and in control of your energy, not reactive to hers. Another key aspect is tonal consistency. Women unconsciously detect fluctuations that hint at anxiety or instability. A calm, grounded tone reassures her nervous system. It signals safety. And safety, especially for women who have already navigated years of complex relationships, is one of the strongest forms of attraction. Finally, your voice communicates vitality. A strong, steady, resonant tone conveys life force, that you are engaged with the world, energetic, and capable of action. It doesn't matter if you are over 50. Vitality isn't about youth, it's about presence. And presence is felt before it is consciously recognized. The voice can also mirror your character. For example, subtle confidence paired with gentle warmth communicates integrity and emotional intelligence. Women sense that combination immediately. And over 50, emotional intelligence matters more than physical perfection, charm, or flashy gestures. So your voice is far more than a tool for conversation. It's a signal of who you are: grounded, confident, thoughtful, and alive. It conveys your inner state before your hands, posture, or eyes even speak. Master your voice, and you communicate strength, calm, and presence, qualities that women instinctively notice long before any other part of you. The fifth thing women notice instantly in men over 50 is your overall energy. And when I say energy, I don't mean gym muscles or flashy charisma. I mean the subtle, unspoken signal you radiate, the sum of how you move, how you breathe, how you exist in space. Energy is magnetic because it communicates your emotional and physical vitality at a glance. Women over 50 in particular are finely attuned to this. They sense it even before words, gestures, or eye contact fully register. Energy comes from consistency, from alignment between your body, your mind, and your emotions. When a man's energy is grounded and steady, it tells a woman, I am reliable, I am present, I am capable of holding space without chaos. And that reliability triggers attraction in ways that charm or appearance alone never can. Conversely, scattered, restless, or anxious energy signals uncertainty and fatigue. Even subtle tension in your movements, a tight jaw, shallow breathing, hurried steps, communicate stress or withdrawal. Women pick up on that immediately, often unconsciously. Over time, it creates a quiet distance, even if you're otherwise polite or well spoken. What's fascinating is that energy is contagious. A man who carries calm, positive energy can influence her emotional state without saying a word. She feels lighter, safer, and more open. But a man whose energy is low, hesitant, or reactive can create tension instantly. Attraction is often built or blocked in these invisible moments. This is why women over 50 notice small but telling details: how you enter a room, how you occupy your space, even the way you breathe. It's a reflection of how you engage with life. Are you present, curious, and attentive, or are you tired, distracted, and checked out? That distinction is immediately felt, even if it isn't consciously analyzed. Your energy also communicates self-respect. When you move through the world with intention, when you speak and act in alignment with your values, it signals maturity and integrity. Women feel that. They trust it. They're drawn to it. Finally, energy communicates potential, not potential for drama, but potential for partnership, for shared experiences, for connection. Women over 50 have lived enough to see through surface appearances. They are looking for the subtle, consistent signals that say, this man is alive, aware, and capable of connection. So, when you combine posture, hands, eyes, voice, and energy, a pattern emerges. Women sense strength, presence, vitality, and emotional steadiness. They feel trustworthiness and groundedness before they even realize it. These five cues, posture, hands, eyes, voice, and energy, are not tricks. They are reflections of your inner state. And for men over 50, understanding and embodying them can completely transform how women perceive you, because attraction at this age is about authenticity, presence, and the unspoken signals that communicate your life experience. If you pay attention to these details, not to impress, but to live fully in your body and mind, you'll notice something profound. Women don't just see you, they feel you. And that, more than anything, is what makes a man truly magnetic.